What was that? What was that one secret?
That he's not gonna make it with his people. He's not gonna make it. But that he's seen the promised land, that he's been to the mountaintop. Right? In majority of Freemasonic teachings, the mountaintop is this seal right here.
Pyramid?
The pyramid seal. So to reveal that openly, so just to say mountaintop, right? Because we know that he didn't go to any mountaintops and look over nothing and thought, well, the promised land's over there. Come on, let's go right over that mountain, you're going to see the promised land. He wasn't talking, he was talking behind the veil. That majority of people don't look behind the veil. But he bust the veil and put something out there for them, and then he was assassinated. And then his right-hand man became the next prominent black whatever.
Who's that? Who's his right?
Jesse.
Jackson?
Jesse Jackson.
Because he was right there when it went down.
Okay. And he's the one that stood to the side?
He's the one that when everybody was on the balcony, he was downstairs in the pool area hiding. And then when they murdered him and then they brought the body downstairs, he had his hands in the blood and all that stuff. Make it look like he was there. And then that's when he went on the news and started pushing his agenda now. With the blood of the brother on him. Because it's ritualistic. Because people are gonna automatically see him with the blood on him and think that, well, that's his right hand man. So he was probably like, over him when he died and all that stuff. When he just wiped his hand in the blood and wiped the blood on his shirt or whatever like that. This is in the court record of the Martin trial. That people seen this. But that's the guy that became the figurehead for black church stuff. Right? It's in the record that that's what he did. It's in the record that he hid out, that he wasn't, really there like that. He wasn't involved like that. Right? So as we get more information, we're going to be able to pick up on more things that people, just throw out there. You know what I mean? That average person who doesn't study, they're not going to really connect certain things. Like they're not going to connect that, they killed Kennedy because he was trying to bring back the gold standard. They'll tell you that it was about some other stuff. Right? They're not going to talk about all these so-called black whatever that started their liberation efforts in a name, and then they changed their name to African name. They just didn't put L or B on it. But the concept is name correction. Whoever, across the board, anybody who did it, anybody who said, oh, that's like slave name or whatever, so I'm going to call myself whatever. Now they have African name, they did name correction. They just weren't fully embracing what really name correction is. But if you're going to correct your name to African, then you have to get on the plane too and go back where that name comes from. And this is why we say tag L or B on it. No matter what you call yourself, because those names are from over here. Or those titles are from over here. So you have a tie on this side. Regardless of what you call it, once you say L or B, you're tying yourself to this side. Right? That's why you have these people writing their articles when after they subjugated us, and then quote unquote the Indians were the ones that were, sort of in the position of who the Europeans have to go to for whatever, right? that's why you had a lot of stuff coming out against them about people saying that they need to go back to India. If they're Indian.
Okay, yes.
Because what are you talking about? They're the indigenous people and they're Indian. What do you mean they're indigenous people? Are they indigenous if they're from India? Are they indigenous to America and they're from India?
Yeah, this makes sense.
They call themselves Indian. Clearly they're from India. Right? You know what I mean? And people were, you know, and it's no different than KKK. What are you talking about? Make black people citizens?
Yeah.
What do you mean? What do you mean to make Negro a citizen? How? How you make a Negro a citizen? Oh, you guys gonna go ahead with make Negro a citizen? All right, cool. You got something for those Negroes. And that's how these guys started doing, having their little campaign against the so-called black guys who didn't want to recognize who their ancient foremothers and forefathers were, who they read the Bible and know that if you don't honor your foremothers and forefathers, your days are cut short on the earth plane.
Yeah, but why isn't that working on the opposite side? There is no white. There is no white. Those Albanians ain't white. But they call themselves white. They don't call themselves Irish American. They say they're white.
We're here.
Yeah, it's only when it's convenient they call themselves Italian American.
Yeah,
Irish
well,
American.
right.
When it's not convenient, they're
really
white.
that's the play. Because if you're gonna be in, if I'm gonna front like your house is mine, I should call myself you, regardless how I look.
Yeah, but that's for man. That's not spiritual or universal. Because you can fool man, you can't fool the universe.
Yeah, most
The universe
definitely.
knows that you're not who you say you are. Right? So how is it that the judgment? I understand it has to come on us if we're calling ourselves something out of who we are, but it also has to hit them the same way because they're not white.
Yeah, they're not white, but they get the pass because we agree that they're white when they're not.
On the physical plane, but how can that work on the spiritual plane when the law has no respect of persons? Right? So you're out of order. I'm still coming for you.
Yeah, you're still, but it's not going to be as much as I would have got.
Right.
Remember, they're just easing how much they get. You know what I mean? You know, they wind up with the belt and you turn sideways and they get the hip instead of the ass or whatever. You know what I mean? So they're trying to get the hip every time. You know, right? Opposed to getting the full buckle or whatever else out here. Right?
Well, to add to what you're saying, Kudu had mentioned earlier where Detroit and Chicago went against the prophet. Right? Times past, we have proclamations now, whereas Rahm Emanuel, who is quote-unquote Jew, put it out there that Moorish Americans, this is their land. There goes his comment. Whereas he's told the Moors, listen, you guys are Moors, like, what are you playing games for? He knows they're not going to listen, but he said it anyway. So just and to speak to what you're talking about in regards to the spiritual and the physical. All the karma is out there for him right now.
It's like a judgment catch-22.
You know what I'm saying? Because he knows and he's told them. That was his first thing he did when he got into office. Nothing else. The first thing he did was they're Moors.
It's like with Barack.
Barack.
Everybody's against
Did the same thing.
he didn't do this and he's not helping black
Done it
people.
already.
He told y'all to claim
Already done it.
nationality. Like, what do you want?
Yeah.
He told y'all that he's Kenyan, not black.
He's done it.
What more do you want?
You know what I'm saying? So they've done it already. So for whatever they do after that,
Right, so
doesn't
I
matter.
hear you. Yeah, they're supposed to be getting
Doesn't
full
matter.
judgment for what they did.
Yeah.
But our ignorance
Yeah.
on the earth plane is a reflection of where we
Yeah.
are spiritually.
Exactly. That's
So on a spiritual level, even on a spiritual level, ancestors are like,
exactly.
you guys really want us to put our hand in your guys' affairs? You guys crazy.
Yeah, exactly.
We can't.
Yeah.
We want to, but you know,
Yeah.
you got your title that you're putting on somebody else, and then you're adopting theirs, and then you want the benefit of your title when you're not calling yourself your title. Right? They want to be Negroes, go to court. Yeah, dismiss this right now or whatever. Ha! The Europeans laughing at them. What you talking about? Dismiss what? On what grounds? You know? So yeah, it's and that's why I'm saying that it's a catch-22. Because, you know, for our people, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. For our people. Because they're really supposed to be, you know, and again, when Burns talking about the timeline, we're supposed to be free of all that. It's not even supposed to be anything relative to negativity coming at us at all. Because we're supposed to be, you know, square standing, you know what I mean? And nobody's not supposed to look at what we're doing as something, you know, why are you doing that or whatever. They're supposed to be down with, oh, you guys, oh yeah, all right. No, just like they said in the article. People who had, what did they say, much finance were helping out Noble Juali. They weren't questioning nothing. They're just coming down, they go about their business. What are you gonna do with it? That's your business, you know, you read the stuff, got principles or whatever like that, seem pretty trustworthy, so do whatever it is you do. They don't have no, like they got today, you got a grant, and then you need a check holder, you need a bank holder guy, and then you need some trustee of something, and then you need to get somebody in the community who got a grant before to be on the board of directors so they can prove that they're not gonna spend the money. It was nothing like that. You know? And the more that we come to the realization that the repercussion is gonna be on us for being negligent. We're gonna get it for being ignorant, regardless of what those people do. For our ignorance, we're gonna get it first, more than anybody else. Just for our ignorance alone. Forget about, you know, not practicing certain stuff and not honoring them, and then not having an ancestral name, and then not calling this by the ancestral estate, calling it some private corporation, and calling all those guys government when they're not government, and then calling people white when they're not, and then calling people police when they're not. All those stuff we gotta get, gonna get stuff for. You're gonna get it for doing a lot of things. The most awakening thing we could do now is realizing that we are our ancient foremothers and forefathers, and then it's probably about time for us to go back to what was presented by Noble Juali, revisit certain things so that we can put this thing again back where it's supposed to be, so people have access to it, so they can make a decision on what they want to do. Because, like we say, there's nothing or nobody coming to help them out whatever they're in right now. Either they're gonna come to their senses and get themselves out of it, or they're gonna perish, and that's the only options right now. It could be way easier, but you know, with the adversaries that are out there trying to sway people's mindset into the things that are of no benefit to them, you know, it's just what we gotta deal with. You know, that's why for us to get the karmic debt off of ourselves, that, you know, love's the first principle. Deal with love with everything that you do. Then deal with peace with everything that you do. Right? And deal with all the principles of everything that you do. And then realize that if you see your brother and he's downtrodden or whatever like that, when we're talking about 1,500 and then you're going to get him out of whatever, why not just give him the stuff?